All right, we're live.
All right. Okay, let me show you what I've been working on in the last couple of days. Let me go ahead and share the screen first. Okay. Let me. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see right there or if it's too small.
That's perfect.
Okay. Okay. Well, for the Java hibernation, I haven't been able to do much. I pretty much don't have anything. I was trying to install like the library, I guess, that we need to use for this. I haven't had too much luck on this. I don't know if I mean just putting this on the table. If you guys know how to get it installed on NetBeans, any insight will be appreciated. For the rest, I have been working on JSON. I have it right here. Right now, I have like a pretty basic an array with three objects, and what I have done is that by using a loop, it is retrieving the information uh, from the array, and it is using just like regular JSON like nomenclature. And let's see. So pretty much, I create the array. It's a JSON object uh, in the array. Then I keep adding more objects to this array. Like like in JSON, you have to specify like in this case, like what is the name of something, and based on
Yeah.
that, you will be adding like additional fields or additional data to this object. So I have a C++, and Java, and then like I said, it just like iterates or retrieves the information from these JSON objects. So if I run it, it will display like C++, and Java. So that's what I have for JSON. I'm planning on adding a few more things to reach basic, but that's what I have so far. For Java threads, I was told that I couldn't reach basic because I needed to show the runnables and the executor. So this is what I added. I created my class, and let's see. So it is going to be like a string. So what I'm doing is that I also, by using a loop, it will be going through the how many times the how can I say, like the thread needs to be executed, and it will be pulling the information like from the threads that have been created, like in this way, in this case, like the tarea 1, tarea 2, and tarea 3. Let me go ahead and run this file. Okay, so it will start running like I said, 5 times. So that's the number of times that it will be displaying. If I change this number maybe to 8, and if I run it again, we should execute it like 8 times. So
Okay.
that's what I have for runnables. And the last thing that I have to show is the URL HTTP. In this case, I have to let's see. What I found is that we can use the URL like method or parameter to specify like the specific URL that you will be checking. Uh, we also have like the URL connection, which is like through an open connection, and we're gonna be retrieving the data from the website. Like in this case, we're gonna retrieve the text and the HTML tags so that we
Yeah.
can visualize it. Like in this case, so we're gonna use the get input stream, and we're gonna create a loop to iterate through all the site and get all the data. And after that, we're gonna print on the screen the information that has been like in the buffer that has been stored in the buffer. And in case that there is a problem with the website or is not able to find, it is going to throw like an error saying that it was not able to find it or that there was a problem like reading the website. So if I run it, um, like I said, it pulls like pretty much like all the data from the site, like from the HTML tags to the text and the data found in the site. So that's what I have so far. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
No, that's it for me. All done.
With the JSON, isn't it that the JSON basically translates the let's say like a comma separated value file and then converts it back to where Java can use it? Is that right?
Yeah, and I mean that's in a way, yeah. I think that's how you can. That's a way you can use it. But like I mean, for what I've seen, also like from other programming languages, like you can store like a lot of data in this JSON file,
Uh-huh.
and you can pull it as well. Like instead of creating like an array, it will just go ahead and and look for this JSON file, the data inside, and you can, I don't know, pull a specific information from it or use it to create a table or something.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I don't know if you guys have any other information.
Um, it's just the thing is in the coding topics or the PowerPoint that they gave or the video that they show. Let me just quickly get it. The lecturer says, I want to see more than a web page that uses JSON with jQuery. I would like to see a Java program that sends and receives JSON and C object to JSON and JSON to object. So I'm not too sure what that really means.
Yeah, that's. I also have a few questions related to that. Like an a JSON object. Like for what I was checking on the example that I was using, uh, like I mean, what it's doing is it's creating an object, and then it is pulling the information from that object. Like for what I understood about an object, it was like this type of array that you can under the parameter that is called the name, you can add different type of like in this case names, like it could be just like a regular name or that is something that is referring to something specifically, and then you're pulling that object, I mean the information is storing on that object. That's how I got it, or how I understood it, but not completely sure if that is the correct approach. I mean, I'm planning on submitting this like it is right now, and
Mm.
get some feedback from the instructor and trying to see if whether it's correct or not.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah, that's always the best way to kind of figure out. He will point out, hey, you need to add this particular um, feature for the topic to be basic. But yeah, for
Right.
I think to get more to the basic on that topic, you basically have to pull up information. If you notice some of the comments from last week, some people were talking about JSON. It is like pulling data, let's say from the Weather Channel, where it will pull like days and the temperatures of the day and whatnot. And then you're going to use that information. JSON is going to translate those. Basically, those are XML files that have like columns of data, and JSON is going to translate them to where you can use them as an object and print them out. So if you go back to last week or the week before, there's a couple of people that posted several tools that we can use for the JSON. That
Okay.
might be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have a look at it. I mean, I used an example from from a JSON file.
Uh-huh.
That's like I said, the idea that I have from on a previous class where I restore like you said like this XML file on
Mhm.
a remote server. Like there's like a website that it allows you to create like JSON file and store them like remotely, and then just by using a couple of HTML tags, I was able to pull the information and then put it in a way that it was going to show it like as a table, let's say for example. So you have like like raw data on an XML file, and then you use it to, I don't know, to display something specifically, or like you said, maybe just pull specific information so that you can show maybe the weather or show specific values for something, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I will definitely have a look at the comments and the information provided on the previous weeks.
Good. Good.
Okay,
So,
let me stop sharing and get the
also
control back
you
to you.
you seem a bit busy. Should I continue so long?
Who's gonna go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Um, okay. Let me just close this. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I did servlets and JSON this week. So I'll just go through my servlets first. So I created a servlet that goes to the local host page, and I just created like a simple HTML documents. So in the coding topics, they said, I would like to see a program that takes a response from a web page, processes the request, and responds with another page of response. Your program will need to run in something like Tomcat. Take the time to get this set up. So I used Apache Tomcat. I went with version 9, as they said you have to take the latest version. But just to run down my code, I created a simple HTML document that asks for different types of input, like first name, last name, etc. And I stored them under certain names. I found this form, the form semantic, and you connect it to the post method. Now, with servlets, you extend with the HTTP servlet, and that automatically gives you the do get and do post methods. And now I connected this with the post method in the HTML, and it would run through this servlet. So if I go to my web XML, so yeah, you have to run down your servlet and the servlet mappings. And for instance, the URL pattern is first, and the name is cservlets.servlet1, and it connects to the servlet name, which is cservlets.servlet1, and it goes to the class, which is this one here. I was quite interested. I'm not sure if you saw, I put a post in, either this week, no, either this week or last week, of the web server which you run it through, and the whole time I was getting an error, and I noticed that it was this tag over here. If I put it the same as first, it would just give me error and a whole lot of things. So let me just go through it again. So here is the HTML document, goes to the post, and it goes to the servlet class, and it goes to the post class. But I didn't put anything in the post class. I just connected it to the do get class, because it seems that people prefer to do get instead of do post. I'm not too sure on their differences. But I get the parameter and I save it to the string. So I get the parameter from the HTML document with each of their names, and I connect it to the string, and then I just output it to the console here, just to keep track of it. And then I get the current session and I set this name to the string that was given, and it saves it in the servlet. One exception is the illegal state exception that could pop up, and afterwards I redirect it to the second page's HTML. So if I go in here, it's the same setup pretty much. Also the post method, but it's now a different servlet. And so the next servlet. So that's the URL pattern there, and it connects the servlet name to the server class, which is servlet 2. And if I go into servlet 2, it's the same setup as well. So yeah, I go through the I number, the course, the username, password, etc. I get the current session, set it, and then I redirect it to a JSP page. So if I go to the JSP page, I had no idea how to write JSP pages. It's the first time I ever heard of it. And so you get the current session and you get the attribute that was saved in the servlet. So for instance, this is servlet 1, sorry. So the F name, so the first name, it connects, it gets that name that was connected in servlet 1. And for the others, for instance, inum is in servlet 2. And afterwards, it redirects it to JSP. So this page will kind of give you the final details that you entered, and you have to just confirm whether that's true or not. And you click on confirm, and then it will redirect you to the redirect.jsp page, which is over here. And I added this meta tag. That's quite useful. It redirects the user automatically the page in 5 seconds. So I just said thank you for submitting your details. You've been redirected to Google's homepage. So if I gave you the rundown of this, get there. So I have to run it on the server. And yeah, Tomcat server, next, yeah. So it goes through this whole thing, and it pops up first name, so I can just say Isaac, and last name is, I'll say, physical address, South Africa. Email address, 123 gmail.com. Contact number, +27, and random numbers. And date of birth, I'll just go random. And so if I click next, so this saves it all in the HTML1, but it connects it to the servlet, which saves that as well under the different attributes. So yeah, it's the first name is now saved as Isaac, the last name Jose, physical address, etc. I'll add my I number, just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The course will be CIT 360. BYU username, we can just say testing, and I put in my password. And if I click submit, it will show you the final details confirmation. So you just go through this, you confirm that everything is right. Once it's right, you click on confirm, and we'll be redirected in 5 seconds to Google's homepage. And so yeah, that's how my servlet runs.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, that looks very complicated.
How many hours do you spend on this one?
Oh, a solid 2 nights.
Wow. Hey,
um,
one
yeah.
one quick question before I forget. Something that I haven't been able to to recall from my previous Java class, and that I
Mhm.
still need to validate. Like right now, like let's say, I mean, for what I can see, like all of these classes are under the same project, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so can you show me just how does it look like on the left side of your Eclipse? Like if you expand like the folder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Um, I'll expand everything.
Okay, so for servlets, so what are your classes?
So my two Java classes is Servlet 1 and Servlet 2. Um, and I used the library you have to use is the Apache Tomcat, but they gave other things, for instance, like Oracle's server. You'll have a web XML document, and for me, I added the HTML and JSPs
And
to
for
run it.
example, how do you connect like both of your Java classes so that they can interact like between each other? I don't know if it makes sense. Like, how do you make one recognize the other?
So what I did was, so there's the first page and the first servlet. Oh, let me get the other one out as well. Uh, there we go. Oh my. Okay, so this was the first page, and I used this. So everything runs under the XML document, the web XML document. So for instance, this is the first URL. The I'm not too sure what you call that, but it connects it to, yeah. So if it's the first, the URL pattern is first, and the servlet name is this servlet name, but so this is the mapping of it, and this is the actual servlet. So the servlet name was servlet one, Cedar service at servlet one, and this connects to the servlet name. It's the same servlet name, and then that connects it to the class, which is a servlet one. So I connected the HTML to the servlet, and then the servlet I redirected it to the next HTML document. Um, so the next HTML document had second, and so second, if you go to the XML document, the URL pattern of second was under the servlet2 name, which is the servlet2 class. And once you get into this class, I redirected it to the JSP page, and then I redirected it again um, to the last page, which was the redirect page to Google. So the
Okay.
XML document kind of connects everything pretty much.
Okay. Got it.
Um, okay, so that's. Is there any other questions?
Not
Not
from
from
my side.
no, not from my side. It's
Um,
quite lengthy, I guess, to get it all working out.
Right.
so my other topic that I did was JSON. Let me just close all of these. It was a pain having to open and close the whole time.
I know.
Okay, let's just clear this. So this is my JSON page, and I created a file, a JSON file as well. So I had the object to JSON. So I went through the thing, and it took forever to go through, through all the different examples in that. So this is how or at least how I think it is, of the object to JSON. So I created a JSON object, which is beef, and I put the seasoning and salt and pepper, and then I put a seasoning again, and then I put steak spice. Now it overwrites this instance of seasoning and it adds it into steak spice. I put grams, whatever. The cuts is sirloin, and so that all gets added into, well, except the salt and pepper, into the beef JSON object. I did the same with chicken with its own thing, and then I connected all those JSON objects, and I put it into meat itself, another object. So it's running two objects, two JSON objects. Here's a JSON array, so it's herb, and I added the different indexes for each type of herb, and so there's just the output of the different what you call it, a JSON object, sorry, and there's the output for the JSON array. So let me just run it along. Okay, so yeah, we can see the JSON object is meat, and I displayed the beef JSON string and the chicken JSON string. So something that's really interesting about this is there's a website called JSON Validator. Oh, sorry, it is a JSON validator. It's JSON lint. So I'll just add this in here, and it will validate JSON, and it will just make it easier to read, and how you type out a normal JSON file. So I had, well, let me rather just do this. So I removed an element. So one of these elements I'll remove. So for instance, I'm not a fan of Sage, so I'll take Sage out. And so I remove Sage, and this is now the new herb garden. Yeah, so that would be, in my eyes, object to JSON. So yeah, the next thing was going JSON to the object. So I wasn't too sure how to do that. So I created a JSON file. So username, Mikhail, etc. Course info name, CIT 160, language is JavaScript. I have a file reader that reads the table.json file, and a JSON parser, which actually converts the JSON into normal Java language and connects it to the JSON object, or saves it in the JSON object. I then call the username name and the surname name from the JSON, so the username and surname, and I output it over here. And I wasn't too sure why, for instance, I couldn't put a double over here, even though it's just 1 2 3 4 5. I have to put a long, and I'm not really sure why that is. I'll probably have to read up on that. And then I created a JSON array with the courses, and I output each index for. So for instance, this is there's the first index and the second index and the third index, and this is their JSON way of outputting it. I then have the course information over here, so I iterate through it, and I connect the course name and the language of each. So CIT 120 is JavaScript, 260 is Java. there's quite a few exceptions that you have to catch as well. So file not found. Well, that's because I put in a file, and the path exception to read the file. But yeah, the JSON to JSON string. I'm not sure if that is really needed, because if I put to string, it would still run the same. Let me just quickly get there. So yeah, it runs the same, but I I might as well just put to JSON string. Seems fancier.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's my JSON page. Are there any questions?
Yes, on that JSON file, do you just created it within the same project, within the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was under. So I just right clicked and I just added a new file.
Do
And
you needed to? Do you needed to? You don't need it to run it from extract it from another different, like an outside source, right?
I'm not sure of that. I am not sure of that.
Like
Um,
what I'm saying is that obviously you have the file within the project,
yes.
and obviously if we want to use JSON to play with data from outside, let's say from a a weather website, like some of the other examples, some of the other students were talking about. You will
Yes.
have to create. You will have to create the connection to that website and extract the data through JSON.
Yes. Yes.
While in your case, you only directing it within your own basically project file. Okay.
So I'm not sure what Isaac said something about you can add a JSON file on an external site or
Mm-hmm.
or database or whatever. So I'll maybe look into that and maybe storing the file over there and then just connecting to that.
Yeah, I will try to look in my records from my previous class, so that I can share with you the website. Like I said, I think, let me see. I think I found it. Yeah, is this one? Uh,
Just stop
it is
sharing.
called my JSON. Let me share. If you want, let me go ahead and share pretty quick. 1 second. Okay, can you see now?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the site. I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, you just put in the data in the JSON format. You save it, and it will provide you with a URL that you can use, uh, just like for whatever. I mean, you can. I'm pretty sure that there should be a class or like a method, maybe. Yeah, it should be more like a method in Java that you can call, like, or you can look for the JSON data on a remote website. So what it was going, it will do the same thing like in your case, but instead of searching locally, this one will go ahead and look on a remote server. So if you guys need it, I'll go ahead and share it also on the Hangouts group.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to share a very simple one topic. All right. Let's see here. Screen one. Let's get that loop going. Woo. All right. So I'm going to talk about JUnit test. The JUnit tests are part of it's a library, a special library that allow you to test individual classes as you go onto your program. So I created a very simple program here that basically tells you how many months before Christmas. Because it's, Christmas is so special.
Right.
So I created a simple class, a very small project that I call Christmas. As you see here on my NetBeans. Obviously, the main class is this Java class, public class, with the main method here. It requires two integers, and it calls the to Christmas class, which does all the math. So it returns an integer months to Christmas right here. So basically, it's just a subtraction from the months of the year to the current month, and to get the Christmas, right? And then it returns that, and then it's printed on to celebrate variable, and it's printed on the message, as you see here over here. So the JUnit, the way you create JUnits, there's two things to it. First, you want to create a document where you do a test case, where you say, okay, we're gonna run our first state is gonna, this is just a template, but you wanna call your, each of your, maybe run a 2 or 3 cases on each of your classes that you're testing, so you can use data that will work. So instead of having all this here, you can say, okay, on my first test, I'm gonna type 6 months. I'm on the month 6, so the result should be 6 months before Christmas, right?
Right.
And they say, if I put 13, it should throw an error message because there's not 13 months.
Correct.
So stuff like that. So you want to create a document first for your JUnit test, and then when you go, in my case on NetBeans, it might be different on using Eclipse, but you can just play around with some of the settings. But in my case, if I want to test my class here, the one that does the math, I right click on it, and then I go on to tools, and then create and update test. Here, you want to make sure with NetBeans that you uncheck the first 4 boxes, because this will create some like default test that you don't want to run.
Okay.
So just uncheck those, and then you click on it. And if you notice here on my left column, my Christmas project has a test package, but it has nothing in it. It's just a blank default package. But as soon as I click on this, okay, it creates that first test. And you can just delete most of these default, I guess, information on the class, because what you want to do, you can delete this one for sure, and then you want to say, because you want to call your to do Christmas math, you create in here the instance or the object, and then it says, okay, the result has to be, so this is going to be a 12, and if the current month is a 6 month, the result, the expected result here should be 6. So you do this 6, and let me run it before I say that it's not running. So you right click on it again, and then test file, and then you run the test, and it says that the test was successful. So test run, failure 0 or 0. Okay. Let me see. Where did I put? What did the? Not that one. Put. Okay. Where did they go? Oh, I didn't display my result, but
So it is supposed to display like the number of months.
well, not in this case because my class, this class only does the math.
Okay.
So I can actually do that. Let me actually do that. Let's do it real quick. System out print lane, and then we're gonna print the result. Let's see what it will bring up. There you go. Yeah, right here.
Right.
So it runs the test and it checks. And if you notice, this JUnit test doesn't even call or uses the main. It directly tests the class. It didn't require the excuse me. It doesn't require the main because each of the JUnit tests have the capability to call, let's say you have 20 classes and you can test each one individual before you even use them on your main class. So that's the benefit of the JUnit test, because you can test each individual class
With different
here,
parameters.
yeah, and just give them the parameters which beforehand. Okay, if I have a 6, obviously it's going to be a 6, right? So let's say it's a 5. So you know that the result should be a 7. So that's why this integer is defined. It says integer expected result. You want to expect a 7. And what it does is with these assert equals, this is part of the JUnit library. It does a bunch of stuff. You can add more parameters that will. So if you add a third parameter, it's like like the boundaries. If you have, let's say you have something that you do in calculation and it requires decimals, right? But some decimals could be a little tricky. So you can add, if you add the third parameter here, it's like a boundary. So let's say it's my result is good if it doesn't go beyond this point.
Okay.
And so that's one of the benefits on this assert equals class. It's also a class on the JUnit library. So okay, so here again we run it again. There you go. So actually they printed out that I put it on the wrong spot. No. Yep. Okay, now we can tell that something is not right because 7 and 7 is 14. Okay, but that's basically the the benefit of the JUnits, that you can test the classes and expect you can run numbers that will throw off the the formulas on your class. Let's see, if I do this, what it's gonna do. See, this one it ran an error because the result and the input are not the same, so it failed. So, but if I know if I'm on month 7, I only have 5 months left. And there you go. It passes the test.
Nice.
So stuff like that, yeah. So that's how the JUnit works. So if you want to reach basic, you want to run a test like this with different cases. So you just want to copy and paste. So you can do you just keep adding another instance. So you can say call instance 1. So like let me do this right here real quick, okay? So you just copy this, and so right one runs right there, and then I want to call this. I'm going to call this instance number 2. And so instance number 2 is going to run. Let's see here. So, and then result number 2, expect result number 2. So you change those. Current month number 2, because that's the test number 2. So you want to change the variable so you don't use the same. And just change those settings. On here, number 2, and then so if I know I'm on month number 10, I know that result should be a number 2, right? Because I only have
Right.
5. And then I run this. So
Your last result, I believe.
what was that?
Your last result at the bottom is the first result.
Oh. There you go. So yeah, that's true. So you have to change this as well. There you go. So you have 5 and not 2.
Right.
And so with this, you know that your class is working properly. Then and here you can throw try and catch error, so you can warn people, hey, there is no years with 13 months or 14, and that's how it works. So that's basically what the JJourney does.
Okay.
Okay, pretty good.
All right. So remember, this is NetBeans, so Eclipse, and then you guys are Eclipse users. It might be a little different, but if you poke around, you probably have the same features, because the developer environments like Eclipse and NetBeans have some of the same tools.
Right.
All right, that's it.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Stop the broadcast.